I think we are live. Isaac, please go on on YouTube and confirm that we are live. One minute and we start, giving you some time to just catch your breath. Relax.1 minute. Okay, yes, we are live. I can hear my voice already. Oh, there's an echo. All right. A second, please.
Yeah, one live.
Good evening, yes, you are live.
All right. Please mute your mic, everyone, so we have quiet background. Everyone mute your mic, please. You can unmute when it's time to speak. Okay, everyone, good evening and welcome to an amazing program. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're still admitting people. So welcome, everybody. We are happy to have you here. You're welcome. Mr. Edidion Apabio, you're welcome. We have our special guests from Trinity Schools. Welcome, Mr. Edidion Apabio. Okay, I need to see some excitement in the room. We are done with our checks, so let's see reactions. Let's see emojis. I want to be sure everybody is alive and happy to be here. You're welcome. Welcome to this amazing event. I'm seeing reactions, but your faces are saying something else. Like I said, it's not an exam. It's just a conversation. Okay, maybe it's the word conversation. We are here to talk, or we're here to gist. Is that better? So let's cheer up, please. Somto, let's have a smile on your face. Obi Kelvin, smile on your face. Miriam, smile. Let's see smiles on our faces. Essay, I can't see your face, so. And I want to see smiley faces. I don't want to see smiley reactions. I want to see smiley faces. I know this period we could send a smiley reaction. Meanwhile, the person is boning seriously, the person that is typing. So please let our reactions not be different from our real faces. All right. Okay, welcome everybody. Good evening and welcome to the second edition of the GYD Conversations. It's truly exciting to have you all here gathered once again for a dialogue that speaks directly to our present realities and shared future. It's going to be a great evening, an amazing evening. So we're going to be starting with the opening prayer, the national anthem, after which we will give you an overview of today's event. After the overview, introductions, and then we're going to listen to Mr. Edidion Apabio set the tone for us, make us have perfect understanding of what our topic is all about. And after that, the conversations will start. The conversations divided into two parts. So we have the first part that we will discuss your perspective, the perspective of the young person. What do you think about energy, security, for peace and prosperity. How does this affect you directly? And after that, we'll go to the second part where we get to talk about the new policy, the Electricity Act 2023, that gives the state authority to control electricity. And then we're going to share more views on that. So it's an amazing opportunity for you to be here. I'd like you to understand that, giving you a platform to express yourself, to learn, to hear from other people, to get to know how things work and why they work the way they work. And the beautiful thing is, even if you're an audience here, you're going to have an opportunity to share your view. So get ready, not just for the 12 panelists. Everybody here is going to talk. Everybody here is going to share their view. So welcome, everybody. And once again, let's have your reactions. Let's see. I want to be sure you can hear me clearly. So let's have your reactions, your claps. Show some excitement. All right, keep it coming. I see you, Sonia, Badebo, Ayomide. Okay. All right, all right. Well done, everybody. Okay, is Stella ready?
Yes,
All right,
ma'am.
Stella, you're ready. Please let's have opening prayer and the national anthem. Please go ahead.
Okay, let's start with the national anthem. Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. Amen.
All right, thank you. Please confirm if you can hear me. I got kicked out of the session, so please confirm if you can hear me. All right, thank you very much, Stella. That was amazing. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. Amazing, amazing. All right. So I'm going to give you an overview of today's event. And when I'm done with the overview, we're going to have a recap of edition 1. And if you were here in edition 1, let's have reactions. If you were here in edition 1, let's see how many people, Moses, Essay, Sonia, All right, so let's start. Today's conversation is centered on a theme that touches every part of our lives: energy security for peace and prosperity, explored through a youth perspective on policy and action. Energy is not just about power supply. It shapes our productivity, our businesses, our homes, and even the stability of our society. This discussion reminds us of something very important. We all have a role to play. Nation building is not reserved for those in leadership positions alone. As citizens, as young people, our awareness, our understanding, and our engagement are powerful tools for change. We do not have to want to lead before we begin to make an impact. Now, today's session will be a little different. This is not going to be the usual question and answer format. Instead, we'll be having a flowing conversation, one that allows ideas to connect naturally, challenges perspectives, and encourages us all to think more critically. It's a space where different viewpoints are welcome and where meaningful dialogues can truly happen. As we go into this session, we'll be exploring how energy influences development, how sustainable and renewable solutions can create more reliable systems, and more importantly, how we as young people can actively contribute to shaping policies and driving meaningful action. So I encourage us all to listen, engage, and reflect, not just as participants, but as contributors to the future we want to see. Welcome once again to the Global Youth Dialogue Conversation, second edition. Let's begin. All right, let's see your reactions, everybody. Let's see the reactions. Awesome. You're welcome. We're excited to have you here. Just get ready to give reactions, okay? Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so now we're going to listen to the recap of the first edition, and it's going to be taken by Amadu Sonia Yusuf. All right, Sonia, please unmute your mic and go ahead.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zoe. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amadu Sonia Yusuf. I was a panelist at the last Global Youth Dialogue, where we had an insightful discussion on the topic, Nigerian-France Tax Memorandum, Implications for Nigeria's Tax System. It was an inspiring and engaging experience. Madam Valentina, Division Custodian of Amdora Youth Impact Initiative, opened the session with a motivating speech, encouraging participants to engage thoughtfully and critically as we explore the topic. She praised attendees for taking the initiative to deepen their understanding of politics and taxation and offered words of encouragement and support to set a positive tone for the dialogue. Our moderator, Ms. Zoe, was exceptional as always. She created a safe and welcoming space, asked stimulating questions, and guided discussions with professionalism and depth, ensuring that participants were challenged to think carefully and share their insights. Our guest, Sir Emmanuel, provided a balanced perspective on the Nigerian-France Tax Memorandum, acknowledging both the support and opposition surrounding it. He highlighted the risks and benefits objectively, emphasizing that while Nigeria faces challenges, international collaboration is necessary and does not mean surrendering national power. I can't forget to mention how active and supportive the audience were. Overall, the dialogue was a masterpiece. It encouraged participants to express themselves freely, tested our knowledge, and brought out our best ideas. Despite being held in a professional setting, it was filled with enlightening perspectives, open discussion, and mutual respect, making it a truly enriching experience for everyone involved. I have no doubt that the second edition will be just as wonderful, if not more, and I wish all the participants the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amadu Sonia. Amadu Sonia was one of the panelists for the first edition, and it was amazing. I remember the conversation, it was mind-blowing. It was so beautiful to see young people talk about global issues. Back in the days, that's something that you won't even find. You just focus on things for young people, that like one focus on what concerns you. But it's so amazing that the Global Youth Dialogue gives young people the platform to express themselves, think critically, have great conversations. This is preparing them to be great leaders of society. You know, leadership is not something you wait and you get into it, something you prepare yourself for early enough so that when you get to that position, when you get into that space, you're sure you're doing just the right thing. So thank you so much, Amadu Sonia, for giving us this amazing recap of the first edition. And with that, I'm sure we are all ready to have an amazing time today. I want to see reactions again. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Hope you're ready. If you're super ready, keep the reactions coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. So we're going to go straight to the point today. We're going to go straight into the conversation. But first of all, we're going to be hearing from Mr. Edidion Akpabio. I'm going to take his bio so you know that you're listening to a great man, a great leader, an exceptional leader. And I like all the panelists to put their brief intro in the chat box. A brief intro. Let us know your name, let us know your school or your occupation, and just add something nice to it. Let us know the kind of leader you like to be, but make it quick. All right. I like your intros to be in the chat box immediately so that by the time you're done listening to Mr. Edidion's bio, we'll all know the panelists that we have here. All right. Mr. Edidion Akpabio is a lecturer in the Department of Political Science, Trinity University, Yaba, Nigeria. His research interests, which include food and water security, social problems in Africa, sustainable development, gender, politics, and a plethora of other sub-themes in African development, were honed while undertaking postgraduate studies at the University of Benin, and has found more expression largely due to the fact that he now teaches courses in African politics. He has published about 30 articles with several research papers ongoing at different stages. He is the author of the work Attaining SDGs in Africa through bilateral and multilateral partnerships, and recently co-authored Food Security and Social Protection in Africa, Reestablishing the Nexus, which appeared in the largest book project in human history and the UN Sustainable Development Goals, published by Springer. Mr. Didion is a prolific writer whose works have appeared in globally rated publication outlets such as Taylor and Francis, IGI Global, Springer, among others. He has a knack for idea generation and won a fully funded grant to attend a workshop at the University of Edinburgh in the year 2020. He's often invited by top agencies globally to partake in their research activities due to his dexterity in intellectual interrogation. You are welcome, Sir Edidion Akpabio. It's our pleasure to have you here today. Everyone, please, let's give Mr. Edidion Akpabio a warm welcome as he gets to set the tone for us today. He's going to talk to us about energy security for peace and prosperity, so that as we start the conversation, we know that everything we are saying is just right. So he's going to set the tone for us, giving us an idea of what the conversation is going to be like today. So you're welcome, Mr. Edidion Akpabio. Please go ahead, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am very happy to be here and to be part of this conversation. Yeah, I count it a privilege to give a talk, an open talk on the subject matter of energy security theory, and then trying to put it side by side with peace and security. Sorry, peace and prosperity. Now, the thing is that, like I've always said, peace is a precursor or a catalyst for prosperity. That means that you cannot attain prosperity or development in the absence of peace. And then when you look at the African continent, you discover that one challenge that has continued to affect this region is the issue of energy insecurities. However, it's good or it's important that we should put this concept into proper perspective. So when we talk about energy, there's always this narrow belief, that accompanies it. A lot of people think the energy just has to do with electricity. or power. But the fact is that energy is a term that is used to describe, several chains. For example, electricity is a component of energy, and that's the one we are more conversant with because everyone needs electricity. And unfortunately, the African continent and the Nigerian state specifically has suffered electricity challenges. Just 2 weeks ago or so, the entire Nigerian state was plunged into darkness, and that was worsened by the fact that we had so much heat in Nigeria, which really affected everyone. Now, when you go to social media, it's always agog with complaints. And to make matters worse, we observed that even the Nigerian president had made a budget for solar, you know, for himself or for the Aso Rock Villa, which implies that they don't have much faith in the national grid. But that's by the way. So the other components of electricity has to do with oil and gas. That means fuel sources, which we need to move, which we need to produce, and which we need to do so many other things. So, but like I said at the onset, both or all energy sources in Africa and in Nigeria and Africa basically seem to be suffering, a great deal of paucity. Now, what are the challenges affecting energy security? There are quite a number of them, which I know we're going to hear from the panelists and understand. But just for context, we know that there's issue of financial constraints, looking at the fact that energy is a capital expense, yeah, it's a capital intensive activity. Also, the problem of pipeline vandalism, which has remained a recurring decimal in this part of the world. And then also the huge dependence on fossil fuel. So these are issues that have continued to aggravate the energy insecurity that has plagued this part of the world. Now, when you look at energy, energy is centripetal or very relevant for several activities. Yes, because like I said, that energy would promote prosperity. And when there's prosperity, of course, you will have what? Development. Now, like I said, why I took so much interest in this is because over time we've always been having conversations like this where we point out challenges. But more often than not, these discussions always end as talk shops, where we just talk and then everybody leaves. But while I spoke to the organizers, they said it was going to be a dialogue where the panelists were going to come up with, strategies or solutions that were indigenous and that can be applied at the national level. So, like I said, Africa has so much resources, but unfortunately, we're unable to harness those resources. Looking at energy, for example, why should we have problem with electricity generation when we have several renewable sources that we can use to tackle this challenge? Even when you talk about fuel sources, which is also part of energy, why is it that petroleum prices are skyrocketed, leading to hike in price of what do you call it, transport costs and goods and commodities, when Nigeria is rated among the top 10 crude oil exporting states of the world? So these are issues that we need to really look at. Having said that, we understand that several developments have taken place in recent years. For example, the government has really invested in energy. It has also tried to see how it can make its policies flexible for private, what do you call it, private investors to come in, to see how they can be able to help in the area of generation. And how have they done that? A lot of reforms are taking place, just like she mentioned. The recent act that tries to ensure that states, that means when I mean states, I mean states within the Nigerian state. Because for we in area, we always refer to the country as a state. So they've tried to bring a lot of reforms to see how states will be able to do what generate their own electricity and possibly also distribute just to see how this issue can be tackled. Also, the government has done so much, in the area of awareness, by trying to encourage private and corporate organizations to see how they can tilt more towards renewable energy sources. Because over time, we've observed that anytime there is a fluctuation in global oil prices, we discover that domestic prices also skyrocket are affected. So what we are saying is that if there is less dependence on fossil fuel sources, that to a very large extent, this will have kind of a buffer where this price volatility will not affect us. Now, having said that, we also need to look at why we have this or why we must have this discourse tonight. Now, among the key reasons why this discourse has become expedient is the need for us as young people to be able to reappraise. Because, of course, we have been appraising the situation, we have been talking about it, but we want to do what? We want to critically interrogate and appraise the situation by trying to find out where we are in terms of energy security and why we are where we are. Of course, because the first solution to a problem is awareness. If you don't know you have a problem, there's not going to be any way you can solve that problem. So the first thing we need to do today is to be able to understand why these problems exist and whether there's a problem or not. The next thing panelists will be doing is to identify our role as young people in solving the energy insecurity conundrum. Because, like the moderator said, beyond just talking, it's important that we should be able to provide plausible and lucid, what do you call it, remedies that can be applied. And then the next reason why we are here is that we anticipate or we believe that at the end of this discourse tonight, we'll be able to raise a new generation of youths who will walk the talk. That means we'll raise youths who will be ready to do or to take responsibility. So we blame the government enough, we criticize the government enough, but we need to put ourselves in the shoe of the government. We need to put ourselves in the shoe of policymakers and say if we were policymakers or if we have an opportunity to recommend to the government, what do we think we can do to tackle this perennial challenge? Because we must understand the fact that energy is life. Energy, like I said, is centripetal to peace, is centripetal to prosperity, is centripetal to development, is even fundamental and a key requirement for our survival. If we continue to go through this cycle of energy fluctuations and the likes, then of course you discover that even even life expectancy will continue to drop. You understand? And then we continue to experience underdevelopment. Taking a cue from our experience with the Millennium Development Goals, it is important that we put all steps or put all necessary action points in place and ensure that we mitigate this challenge that we're experiencing and then ensure that we achieve a great deal of energy security. Because once we achieve energy security, every other of the 17 SDGs will be attained. So tonight, as we are about to set the ball rolling, I believe that all panelists or participants, that means talk about the panelists, will come here with very novel ideas, very genuine ideas that we can have, that we can harness, that we can put forward, and even suggest to relevant agencies, and which can also be applied to solve Nigeria's challenges. So that is just what we expect from all of you panelists tonight. And I believe that at the end of this discourse, we'll have a fruitful engagement. Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure being here tonight.
Thank you. Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Edidion. That was just it. Just an amazing way to start this event. Thank you very much. I like what you said about awareness. No, yesterday I had a conversation with our amazing vision custodian, Madam Valentina, and just listening, it was surprising to see that there's a whole lot that we do not know as citizens. There's so much we don't know because we just find ourselves in a society that complains instead of trying to learn. And if you ask the average person in society any question about the government, you see that they have nothing to say except to complain and say, oh, this is what's going on. But if you get to ask them deep questions, you see there is very little knowledge. So when you mentioned awareness, it was just it. I was like, this is just what we need to know. Because first of all, to solve a problem, we need to be aware, and not just about problems, to come up with greater solutions, to come up with greater systems. We need to understand systems. We need to understand things. We need to know how things are meant to be, and then we can build from there. So thank you so much. And everybody, let's appreciate Mr. Ididium for the amazing, amazing talk, amazing speech. Thank you so much, sir. That was just it. Thank you. And we're going to go straight into our conversation. I like to remind our panelists that I am not going to be asking you questions today. I like you to speak freely. Today, we want it to be like the market square where people are just talking. Now, not noisy, I mean market square where you're free to share your ideas. I don't mean to fight, or you know what I'm talking about. I like the conversations to flow naturally. Don't forget that. Now, this is because we want you to be able to think critically and come up with your own perspective, your own idea, your thought. So let's have an amazing time. No dull moment today. Every panelist should have their mics unmuted. Ensure you're in a quiet space. Unmute your mic. Just be ready to speak. Listen actively to what someone else is saying so you can contribute. Remember, it's about awareness. It's about providing solutions. It's about learning different perspectives. So I'm going to read the focus for the first part of our discussion today. We're going to talk for some time, and after that, we're going to hear the policy for Electrical Act 2023, and that's going to guide the rest of the conversation today. So be ready to speak. Don't wait to be called, because we're not going to call you. If two people get to converse today, that's fine. So I like you to ensure your voice is heard, but no interruptions. Listen carefully, know when one is done, and then let's hear you speak after that. All right? So our theme is energy security for peace and prosperity. Before I read this, I just want to be sure our panelists are ready. So if you're a panelist here, let's have your reactions. I can still see your mics muted. That's why I stopped. So I need to be sure you're ready and you heard when we said unmute your mic, because we don't want any quiet moment here. We are here to have a conversation. So if I'm seeing your reactions, I need to see your mics unmuted, right? So unmute your mic if you're a panelist. Rhoda, unmute. Somto, unmute. And please, let's use our real names. I see Viva Vavida. I don't know who Viva Vavida is. There is no panelist in our flyer called Viva Vavida. Please use your real name so we address you properly. Obi Kelvin, unmute your mic. Yes, please. I need everybody to be ready. And ensure you're in a quiet space, please. All right. Energy security for peace and prosperity. Where is this noise coming from? Viva Vavida, the noise is coming from your end. So I just muted your mic. Try to get to a quiet space, or you can unmute when you're ready to speak if you can't get to another location. All right. Energy security for peace and prosperity. Youth perspective on policy and action. Now let's listen, because we're going to build our conversations from here. Everyone has a role to play as citizens. We are all contributors regardless of position, title, or appointment. We do not have to wait until we are in leadership before making an impact. Right where you are, energy already affects your life. From your society, your business, your family, energy plays a direct role in shaping peace and prosperity. It influences productivity, supports food security, promotes stability, and helps reduce social vices. As we explore this from a youth perspective, the focus is on understanding these realities and looking at how renewable energy can create a more reliable, sustainable system, and how we can actively contribute to making that a reality. So, panelists, let the conversation begin. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Standing on the already existing protocols that remain ACL water, and this is my take on the topic. So truly, yes, everyone has a very important role to play in this. And as young people, we are not just stakeholders, we are primary beneficiaries, and we are also victim of energy policies. It affects every single one of us and not just a certain group of people. As a student, we know what to face through when we have to stay without electricity supply. And as young people, we have a lot to offer. We can bring innovation, digital skills, and even a strong understanding of grassroots realities. Many of us can share our experiences. We can contribute to development. Our role is to advocate, innovate, and to hold systems accountable. And when we all do this, we can drive change. No matter how little it may seem, it can go a long way.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Good
Can
evening.
I hear your responses? Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening. So, my name is Ambassador Valentina, and I'm the vision custodian of Amdora Youth Impact Initiative. I can understand that this is probably not a style that you are used to, you know, but it's something that you need to learn, how to have constructive conversations, in the sense that it doesn't have to be an argument, it doesn't have to be, a heated conversation, because you will find yourself in rooms where you have these kinds of conversations. So this is a very good time to start. We would have done the usual, we'll call a name, say something, but we want you to relax and get your points across. You understand what I'm saying? I'm seeing a lot of active faces. You all look, ready to talk, but you're holding back. Just relax and have your conversations. And there's nobody saying you gave the right response or you gave a wrong response. Just relax and have constructive communication. Okay? All right? We are still not relaxed. Even when the moderator was asking for reaction, I think I was just in reaction from one person. Some of you, you're not familiar with Amdora Youth Impact Initiative. Relax. Okay? Feel free. This is your platform. It's your place. Relax and have constructive communication. Okay? We want to hear from you. We want to know that you're ready. We want to prepare you for the stage. You are all going somewhere and you're all going to make things happen. So if you want me to call someone's name, I'm going to call someone's name and then you take it from there. Esther has said something. I'm sure you all listened to what she said. So Miriam, you can continue from where Esther stopped. And then another person take it from there.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Ma.
you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. So to contribute what SA said. Energy is not just a utility, it is the foundation on which peace is built and how our economies are grown. And we are all very much aware of how we're affected by the lack of electricity in Nigeria. Every single sector is affected, from healthcare to education and everything you can think of. Like our lecturer said earlier, Mr. Sam, peace is a catalyst for prosperity. Energy is very important. I'm very glad that in this conversation, we are gravitating towards renewable energy, which is clean energy, safer for the environment. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Also, maybe I'll touch on the Electricity Act later on and some of the challenges that it's facing currently, and also the impact, because from my research, I think East Ekiti and Aba have seen significant changes in electricity that this act has been passed. I think factories in Aba are experiencing about 23 hours of uninterrupted power supply, which is honestly incredible. I don't think we've seen anything like this. This is one of the most important energy policy reforms Nigeria has seen in, I think, almost in forever. So, yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So taking a point from what Miriam has said, I think one of the most important things about the Electricity Act was one, granting states the ability to cater for the electricity needs of their people. And as she has pointed out, that has brought significant developments to some states that have been able to meet up the demands. Of course, we've also seen the partnerships between the private sector and the public sector coming together to ensure stable and reliable power supply for various states as a result of the Electricity Act. But one thing I want to also point out is that while we have to look at um, you know the partnerships and then the autonomy and all that, I also want us to look at the infrastructure of Nigeria's energy sector as a whole. Some of these infrastructures have been built many years, 20, 30 years, and there's been no refurbishing, there's been no upgrading, there's been no modernization of some of these infrastructures. Some of them are old, some of them are weak, most of them have wear and tears. And while these partnership between the public and private sector has improved power supply in some states, we also see that the deteriorating state of the infrastructures themselves also play a very big role in the lack of energy supply across the country, which, as they've rightly said, is also very important for economic development as a whole. So I'm thinking, aside from every other thing, the infrastructure itself that surrounds the energy sector also has to be looked at for modernization, refurbishing, and all of that. So I think that's also one point I would like to make.
Exactly. I agree with that because the issue with energy security is not just generation, it's the entire power value chain. The national grid is over 50 years old, and obviously, it has become increasingly fragile. That's why almost every time I hear the national grid has fallen, it has collapsed. And this has left lots of people in darkness, even recently, too. I think that's a major challenge. And this just highlights that there is an urgent need for a comprehensive upgrade, and investment in decentralized and renewable energy solutions. We know we can't rely on only one source, so we need to diversify in order to ensure energy security.
So while I was researching for this, I found a very astonishing fact, which is that over 85 million of Nigerians, according to the World Bank, lack access to reliable electricity. I mean, apparently I'm one of them. I think that that's a very serious issue. Nigeria is going through a lot when it comes to the area of energy security. And I think that it goes beyond providing energy. It's not just about, energy itself on its own. It also goes down to opportunity. I remember when Essay was speaking and she talked about what we students face when we have lack of access to energy, studying, businesses can't work, especially small and medium-sized enterprises. Everybody feels the heat, and it's so serious. It's not just about energy anymore. It's not about access to electricity. It has now become an issue of opportunity because a lot of people end up missing opportunities or missing it generally when it comes to energy in Nigeria and in Africa to an extent. So I believe that as young people, even though we often think that there's nothing we can do, I mean, we're not in high positions of power, there's nothing we can do. I think that conversations like this are where we can speak and bring up, ideas that can end up forming strong policies that could change or improve the situation of Nigeria's energy because this energy thing shapes our lives daily. I can't imagine how we would live if we didn't have access to energy at all. So I'm honestly looking forward to, the other things that the panelists have to say because this is very interesting. It touches on all of us.
I absolutely agree with everything that you said. I think that as young people, we need to definitely raise awareness, enlighten the public, speak out, because as far as I'm concerned, I think we're the most affected. And the government listens. We think they're not hearing us, but I promise you the government listens because when you look back at something like maybe NSAS, which was in 2020, most of the movement started online and it was young people that started it. And before you knew, it gained global traction. People from all around the world were speaking about it. Obviously, I don't advocate for destruction of lives and properties, but it definitely like shook the governments to their core because people came out in numbers, people were speaking online, celebrities from everywhere. So definitely, I agree with you. I think as young people, we need to speak up, we need to advocate, we need to educate ourselves and other people, and definitely come together and think about how we can make some kind of positive impact.
Exactly. And there are also peaceful protests that young Nigerians can also initiate. Like talking about Nepal now, there was a protest they did last year. Like it brought a lot of attention to that country, and normally people won't even pay attention to them, but the way they did, the way they carried it out, they were able to effect the necessary change in that country. So I believe that we young people, we can also do the same thing. And I also remember someone sent a video recently on the general platform and was talking about how Japan was using, was it footsteps to generate electricity. We have brilliant minds in Nigeria. A lot of people are so intelligent, so creative, so innovative. Like they can come up with solutions to problems, but the only issue is that they don't have people to invest in them, people to encourage them. So if that is solved, I believe we can even find other alternatives apart from solar energy and apart from solar energy, we can find other alternatives.
Definitely.
Definitely,
Okay.
but we can find other alternatives. But there are two issues I have. So number one, I think overall it's been proven that Nigerians we have a very poor maintenance culture, right? So
Yeah.
The issue for me is not about bringing up renewable energy. The fact is, even the traditional energy we have not been able to properly maintain the infrastructure and the architectures of um, those energy generating devices. So bringing in another form of um, energy generation and all that is fine, but then we also have to look into maintenance culture because it's very important. What we are talking about is not just energy generation. In fact, I would like to put it as sustainable energy generation. It's not for 20 years, 30 years. It's for as long as, to ensure that energy security for everyone in the country is guaranteed. So, while we are also thinking about these new forms of energy generation, we're also having, as being one of the largest oil producers in the country, fuel and all of that. Let us also take a look into our maintenance culture to ensure that whatever we are coming up with, whatever we are doing, we are not just doing it, but we have a sustainable plan which is centered around proper maintenance for a long run.
I agree with you. In fact, maintenance culture, that is one thing that has always been a problem with our nation. And I feel like our generation can actually change that because we can't keep repeating that, oh, maintenance culture is the problem. That's why we can't even invest in new industries, new factories. I feel like we should find a way to be the change because if we if we start shying away from creating new things because of we're afraid how it's going to end up in the long run or because of the maintenance culture, like you said, we may just end up being in the same spots and development be far away from us. The key challenges affecting energy security, most especially in Nigeria, infrastructure deficits. We have generation gaps. There's a wide gap between installed capacity and actual electricity generated. Lack of transparency is another issue. We also depend too much on fossil fuels. We rely heavily on gas, and that makes the system vulnerable to supply disruptions. Limited investment, like I mentioned earlier. The public, the private sector investments, they are not sufficient to meet growing demand. Over 250 million people, and then we can't still be using the same thing that we used 50 something years ago. We need to make changes, necessary changes. That's my own take, that's my own view.
So to add to what you've said, obviously maintenance culture and a lot of things that are going on in the country. But when you look at all of the problems that we have are interwoven, and I believe that it goes back to bad governance, which is why I always that one of the ways that we can create change is also being actively involved in governance, in politics. For example, now we have elections coming up. A lot of people are probably of age to vote. How many people have their voters card? Not a lot, because we have this mentality that our votes are not going to count. Almost every single issue we have goes back to bad governance because there's only so much we can do, right? There's only so much that we can do.
Yes.
So I believe that it's important that, because I think I was at a conference like last month and they were talking about how do we know that it is our right to reach out to our local government representatives, and if we have complaints or things that we're not pleased with, like it's our right to reach out to them and talk to them. I'm sure most people don't know that. So we need to be more involved, actively involved in politics.
Yes, definitely we need to be actively involved. And just to stir conversation and give you more things to discuss, we've said some things about the youth having ideas, our rights, the bad governance. But how do you as a young person intend to get sponsorship? Have we thought about this without looking at the negative part? Have we put some thought into this? How do you intend to get sponsorship? Because, some people just sit at home and wait and already have this mindset that it's not possible for the young ones. We already have that mindset that this is not possible. There is nothing for the young person. There's nothing for me in this country. We have the Japa syndrome. You feel the help is in another place. So what are you doing as a young person? Are you attending events? Are you going for seminars? Are you asking questions? Are you looking out for mentors? Are you trying to understand the policies that are out there? So this is something I like us to talk about. What are you as a young person, what are you doing actively to get this sponsorship to help the bright ideas that we have? All right, I'd like to hear from someone.
Thank you for that.
Everyone.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, sorry, I thought she was about to speak, so I'm really enjoying the conversation. So I want to say something on try to okay how we are going to get sponsorship, educating young people. A lot of these don't really know anything about this policy on energy. The main thing is that they are now navigate their rights or things they needed to do. Everything is free, and let's wait to for sponsorship because no man is an island, and there are a lot of companies of organizations that deals with energy. So instead of trying to do your thing alone, you can see collaborate with higher agencies, even if it's private or the big sectors. We collaborate with them, share same ideas, and put things together. This can also help from my own point of view. Thank you. I don't know if I
Okay, I'd
was
like you to
audible enough.
please send a message, what you just said. Your line was glitching. We heard just a little. So I'm sure you gave amazing points. Please put it in the chat because I don't want us to miss that. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, to just add to what she said, I think that before anything else, advocacy is very important because a lot of youth are so consumed by the fact that whatever energy problem we're having is most likely a tenable thing. And while that may be true to an extent, I think that that's not completely true because if we're talking about infrastructure, then we have to consider the fact that sometimes when these things are built, it's still the same use that go and vandalize them. It's the same use that, rewire light connections and all of that. So I think, first of all, there should be advocacy. We as youth can speak to ourselves and tell us the dangers that our actions bring to the community as a whole. So advocacy is very important. Then, just as you rightly mentioned, attending seminars, basically being in spaces. But you can't approach someone who may be interested in turning your problem with an idea, turning your solution rather with just an idea. You have to turn it into a fundable solution. So you're going, when you attend the seminars, you listen to people who are very, because I know that, for someone who is in arts, I know that there are a lot of grants, a lot of fellowships, a lot of scholarships for innovative ideas. Maybe when they take them abroad and help them, feel it and all of that, they keep them there. They don't allow them to bring the technology back home. Maybe that's what happens, but I know that I see a lot of that. So when young people have these ideas, and a lot of young people do, or when we see things like this being done, outside the country, we could choose to replicate them here, try them out here in Nigeria, see if it works for us, reach out to people, make applications, apply for scholarships, fellowships to learn, and all of that, just basically to convert rather these ideas to fundable projects that can be carried out in Nigeria to help with our energy security. So yeah, I think that's my 2 cents. Yeah, I think.
I completely agree with you. And they are like very available grants, like they are actually very much available to us youth. Like the Tony Elumelu Foundation, They had one $5,000 for people that have like beautiful business ideas that they're ready to implement. And if you know you have a very good idea to solve the electricity issue, energy issue, you can apply for such grants. And apart from applying for grants, just like you said, we should also take mentorship very seriously. I was speaking with a mentor some weeks ago, and she mentioned that the young generation, we feel like we know it all, and then we are not willing to listen to what the older generation have to say. But that is actually something that is really common with us youths, and we need to fix that. Mentorship goes a long way because for us to not repeat history, we need to know about history. That's how we make the necessary corrections. That's how we get guidance. That's how we'll be able to bring change, impact in our community. So applying for grants, and just like you said, in China, someone told me a story about China, like before they reached this their developed society. There was something that they did, reverse technology. So they get maybe appliances, some machines or whatever from other countries, and then they break it to pieces. When they break it to pieces, they are trying to see how it was built, and then they try and fix it back to function, to work. And then once they do that, they replicate it and create other numerous equipment. So, like you said, we can look at other countries that are advanced, see what they are doing, the equipment they have, and we can try to domesticate such ideas in our nation today. That's one way of being creative. Even though it's not original, it's something. It's something. That's my point. That's my view.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Just to add to our conversation, because I know that most of us here are just waiting to talk about the Electrical Act 2023. I've heard one, two persons mentioned it already. So let me just say a little. So we have this policy strategic implementation plan document, and I like to say little from it to add to your conversation. And also, please know that if you're in the audience, you're free to converse. If you have something to say, you can drop a message in the chat box, or you could unmute your mic and speak. All right. Okay, so the National Integrated Electricity Policy and Strategic Implementation Plan is a comprehensive framework designed to transform Nigeria's power sector following the passage of the Electricity Act 2023. The impact of this policy is that it shifts power from the NERC to SERCs, that's the State Electricity Regulatory Commission. This implies that states now have the power to determine local electricity tariffs, adopt solar laws, and tailor electricity solutions to meet local needs. In addition to this transition, in addition to the transition to a two-tier system, the policy now recognizes that off-grid solutions are complementary and equal partners to the national grid. It is pertinent to note that the successful implementation of the NIEP SIP may foster a shift towards affordable and stable electricity, thereby significantly reducing the high cost of maintaining private petrol and diesel generators. So I'd like us to share more light on this. Thank you, everyone. Please go ahead.
Okay. But before I dive into this, I just want to make a quick comment. So about the previous discussions. So while we talk about China, there's this thing in China that the youths, they have these engaging social media platforms that teaches them about various skills, be it construction, engineering, plumbing, things like that. Basically, how to create things. And then from a young age, the youths start imbibing this culture of creativity and innovation altogether. Let's bring that to Nigeria, I think. Someone said something about having bad governance. Yes, but then let's also look at ourselves as youths, right? Because I listened to someone a while ago, and the person said, the government and the society is a pyramid. Everybody you see up there came from down, which is amongst us. So they are basically forecasting who we are as a society up there. And though I disagreed with that person, more and more I started to see the trends. Now, if you go to most of the young people, they have social media platforms and they are not doing anything informative with it. They are, doing challenges that are unnecessary, sharing some, very weird and unproductive topics, and doing some trends that are really not, educative. Now, while that's all fun, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. While all of that is good, right? But then it has come to a stage that it has dominated our social media space. And like one of the speakers said, a lot of people now ignore the realities, which is that the youths have to be heavily involved in politics. Because if we want a better country for ourselves, we have to shape it. And we have one of the greatest tools that has ever been created, which is social media. Everything can start from social media, and then we work our way up, and then bring out these ideas into actionable plans that will become something at the end of the day. So I think our social media culture needs to change. Let us start having engaging content, meaningful content, because I also want to reference when I Should Speed came to Africa, right? He did a tour of Africa, and every other country had something interesting to showcase aside from Nigeria. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and I told him in Nigeria, social media has become a coping mechanism, basically. So when we feel like the government and their policies are stressing us, we go to social media, to laugh off the pain and all that, which is all good and fine. There's no problem in doing that. But then, you know, when that becomes dominating, we forget that you know, there are other important things that needs to be done, which in this case is we should have more information, we should have more knowledge, we should have more participation, and it can all start from social media. So I think basically the pyramid, the grassroots of the pyramid needs to change so that at the end of the day, maybe not today or tomorrow, but in a distant future, the topmost part of the pyramid will reflect positively because the grassroots of the pyramid has changed to be positive. Now, to the issue of the Electricity Act, like I said earlier, that's one of the most beautiful things Nigeria has done, which has allowed the public and the private sectors to come together, and then the states also have autonomy to do what they need to do to provide sustainable energy and security for their people. Now, the only issue I have with that is this. Uh, I have not read the act fully, but I think in case of funding for these projects, right? Because then again, I was reading about something where the federal government was owing some states money for electricity, and I don't really know how that works. Because if you know the Electricity Act is giving autonomy to states, can and these states generate revenue, can they allocate a portion of their revenue to electricity? That's one question I'm still trying to wrap my head around, because at the end of the day, yes, the federal government by our constitution is supposed to give allocations to the states for various things, but then the state as its as an entity on its own should be able to function as a state, thereby allocating money from their own generated revenue to sort out some issues and not relying solely on the federal government. In fact, I think it's so bad this period that some governors were saying they could not even construct as little as road because they had not received allocation from the federal government. And in my mind, I'm like, but then the state does other things to generate revenue. So yes, you give a percentage to the federal government, but then why don't you use the other remaining percentage to sort out internal issues? Must you have to depend on the federal government for certain things? So I think that's one area we also have to look at in this conversation.
All right, thank you, thank you. Before we continue, I like us to know that the president of the Pan-African AU Agenda 2063 diplomatic mission is here with us. Let's see reactions, please. Let's welcome our ambassador warmly. Welcome, sir. We are so excited to have you here. Your support, your presence here is really inspiring to us. Welcome, Honorable Stephen. Everybody, I need the reactions to be more. Welcome, sir. And we would like to know if you like to share anything with us concerning the topic. I'm sure the youth will love to hear from you. Welcome, sir. Okay, hold on. I think his network. A second. Okay, he's here, but I think the network just took him out. So hold on. Once he's back, we'll just let you know. And I'm sure he's going to share something with us. So thank you very much, everyone. Let's continue with the conversation. Thank you. Well done, Moses. Please go ahead.
Um, Good evening.
Good evening.
The previous panel spoke on the electric side of things, and I'd like to chip in a little bit about that. So I believe that the most effective way we can start from the power grid. And so we know that every state has their electric demands, and for Nigeria, it's 40,000 megawatts. So Nigeria already has an available capacity of 13,625, which already falls below the expected megawatts available, while the output 4,700, which is already low. And this has a socio-economic prevalence that Nigeria loses $26 billion annually because of power outages. So if a revamp of the power grids are carried out and mobilized, we can checkmate these issues and other issues that follow because of these problems.
I would also like to give any member, the audience, an opportunity to speak. I know there's somebody that has been waiting to say something. So if you're here and you like to add something from the audience, now is the time. So you can unmute your mic and share.
Sorry. There was a particular statement that stood out to me. She said, all of our problems in Nigeria are interwoven, and she's completely right about that. And about the part of social media not being able to educate us enough. So I think we shouldn't just push the blame onto social media, because those kind of things get shadow banned. I've seen creators go on to talk about political opinions, and somehow their accounts get cancelled. So I think one of the best ways we could also spread information, enlighten people about this, is through words of mouth. If we can educate our associates, our friends about issues like this, and they can notice, I think some of Nigerian youth's greatest problem is that they believe, since it's not, their name isn't dragged into it, it's not their business. Meanwhile, it's entirely their business. So I think we need to make these people understand that we can have conversations with friends, with families, with friend people. Even though I've tried having these kind of conversations, and sometimes people I'm having the conversation with, they get angry at me, or they might start saying, doesn't really concern me, they're being too political. And I think it's not put out there enough that everything in our country is political. and needs to be treated. And I think in general, we're just a bit too negligent. It's not about social media now. We are the ones controlling social media practically. And it's disappointing when instead of ensuring a sense of unity with each other, instead of us promoting issues like this, instead of us being able to speak on topics like this, we are just promoting classism, destroying each other, all in the name of clouds. Thank you very much.
Okay. I agree with your point partly, and I also agree with Moses' point partly because I feel like social media has the role to play because it's through social media that we can reach a large.
I totally agree that social media has not been like used properly by youth because like the family said earlier, there are a lot of grants, scholarships, and like foundations that's like invest in young people's ideas. But I feel like a lot of young people don't know about these resources. They have no idea. Like there are no resources for them to like promote their ideas, which like it affects them. Like a lot of young people have, like someone said earlier, a lot of young people have new ideas, and they like it dies down. Like they give up because there are no resources for them to like promote these ideas. And I feel like social media platforms can be used to promote like awareness of okay, there are scholarships, grants, and foundations that will invest in and promote your ideas.
So, Rachel, I agree with you and all of the previous speakers that we've had. Obviously, we could use social media as a tool to create some sort of change. But as I've said before, every single problem we have, I believe, is interwoven. So, energy insecurity, for example, we know it fuels poverty, right? It is affecting every single aspect of the economy, every single aspect of the country, which in turn hinders growth and development. Apart from energy security, as I said, a lot of problems we have are interwoven. One of the things that I truly believe, I think we should all take home today is how we can create meaningful change in our own little ways. And obviously, social media as a tool. I always tell people that there are so many organizations, so many NGOs, so many foundations that are out there that you can join free of charge and you learn so much. You can always do volunteer work. There's a lot of things out there. If you look at about a decade ago, we didn't have young people in government. Then probably, I think under the Buhari administration, we had the Not Too Young to Run campaign. And now we have 30-year-olds in government. We have people in the State House of Assembly, House of Representatives. And all of this started from people coming together, talking, starting up something. They started a movement, they spoke about it, they raised awareness. And I believe that we can all do that in our capacity. A lot of times we sit down and we have these discussions, but I mean, it's all talk. Nobody doing anything. Literacy levels are at an all-time low. People are going to school, yes, literacy levels are at an all-time low because I promise you, if you speak to like your average, I don't know, teenager, they don't know anything that's going on. So you need to have discussions with the people around you. You need to create change in your capacity. You need to join groups, you need to join movements, you need to join organizations that will be meaningful to this change. Not energy insecurity, but every single aspect of our lives, because all the problems we have are interwoven. So I agree with all of you, but I just wanted to add to that.
Yes, definitely. And in that, I would say this. I think we have to force ourselves into some spaces. And why am I saying that? Like one of the speakers rightly said, sometimes when you want to have these conversations with young people, uh, they feel like you're being too serious. In fact, a while ago, I was trying to have some chat about the current state of the Nigerian economy with a friend of mine, and his response to me was, "Omo guy, relax, life not too serious." And I laughed it off, but I sat down and I was in serious thoughts. If most of the youths, I mean, over 80 to 85% of the youths can be so ignorant and negligent, then how do we want to actually change the situation of the country? So yes, while I agree that we have to create small changes in our capacity, I would want to say that I know that sometimes when we try to create these changes, it will seem like we are doing too much. But at the end of the day, we have a vision, we have a goal, and this vision and this goal would be to the benefit of every one of us, including those who are negligent and ignorant. And so we have to keep the keep up the push, force ourselves into some conversations with some people, force ourselves into some spaces with some people, even if they don't want to have that conversation, but at least create that awareness that look, you have to be involved because change is for everyone to be involved. It's not just a small group of people. Yes, a small group of people can have a significant impact, but imagine when the masses come together in unity to declare for change. Imagine what can happen then. So I think we have to force ourselves in these conversations. We have to force ourselves into these spaces. We have to force ourselves into some people too, to get them to actually reason and think about the future. Because like the moderator said, now we have Japa syndrome. And one thing I keep asking myself is, these countries we run to, their citizens stayed to fix it. Their citizens stayed to change it, and we are going there. So if everybody leaves Nigeria, who would stay to fix it? That's one question I keep asking myself. So I think, like she said, it's important to do these things in our own capacity, but then some of our youths would refuse to talk about it. Some of them will refuse to listen to us. But I feel like we should push it. We should force ourselves in those conversations and in those spaces and get them to listen.
I believe that change is uncomfortable. It's not going to come easily. And as you said, a lot of young people are not interested in being involved in these conversations. But it's important for it to happen. And those of us that are interested within our capacity, we need to keep on having conversations. We need to keep on raising awareness. And back to the Electricity Act, from what I and my research, so some of the challenges apparently that some states are facing is the high initial cost for infrastructure. Obviously, they need investors. It's going to cost a lot of money. And again, the need for consistent local investments. And a major problem we have in Nigeria is the challenge of, vandalism. Because when you look at even the rail that we have, I think we have Abuja Kaduna rail. Every now and then, people go in the night and, destroy some parts and steal some things. In every aspect, in every part of Nigeria, there's vandalism. So these are some of the key challenges. And obviously, we need to raise more awareness, have more conversations in order to at least curb the insecurity. Because even if there's a revamp of the national, going back to what some of the previous speakers said, we have a bad maintenance culture, right? Even if we come and introduce, let's say, for example, community solar grids, there's the issue of vandalism as well. So I believe there's a lot of work to be done, but eventually it gets there. Japa is definitely not the solution to me. As Moses said, all of these countries that we are going to, their citizens stayed back to fix it, and we can also do that. I mean, when you look at the Gulf and some Asian countries, they've transformed economies in probably a decade or two. Nigeria is like the sixth largest oil producing country in the world. We are blessed with natural resources. So if we put in the work, I believe we can get.
Yes,
Sure.
thank you very much, everybody. And we're going to hear from our vision custodian shortly. Just to put everything together, we've done an amazing job. And one thing that has just been in my head, has just been ringing in my head, is that life is what you make it. You know, we've come to hear our parents or people, society complain about leadership. And now it's a big flex to leave your country and go somewhere else. But the beautiful thing is that there is no place like home, right? And life is what you make it. So when we decide to put our foot down and do the right things, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of change. And this is why we have the Amdora Youth Impact Initiative. This is why we go out. This is why the Vision Custodian looks for different opportunities. She's a pathfinder, looking out for opportunities for the youth, just so that they can have that hope again, so they can dream again, so they can stay in their country. And even if you have to visit other countries, you're not leaving your country because you think it's bad, but you're just visiting, to add to your country. And that's why we have this organization. This organization is hope. This organization is the dream that we all have been looking for. It's an answer to so many problems. Look at the number of youths we have discussing, talking about global issues. Like Moses said, it's not something that's common. Now, youths are doing so many things, doing all sorts, and this is the last thing that's in the minds of so many people. But here you are, and this is something that the organization gives. Like we've said, and like many of us have contributed today, look out for opportunities. Find a spot in places like this. Go for mentorship. You have the time. And I like you not to, don't forget the philosophy that life is what you make it. You have the time, you have opportunity, you have the strength. And there is no time to wait for the titles, the appointment. Wherever you are is just enough. What you have is just enough. This is an amazing event we're having online. If we wanted to wait for the best platform, we would have been, we won't be here, but we're using what we have to just get things to work. So I like you all to appreciate the Amdora Youth Impact Initiative for such a platform, for such a concept, for this initiative. And a big thank you to the Trinity Schools. We are so happy to have you in our midst, and there's so much we are going to do together. We appreciate you, and we want you to stay with us, open your mind, and be a positive influence to your classmate. Tomorrow, let someone hear about this program. Let someone hear that your voice was heard. Everything that you have said today will be put together, will be compiled and further discussed. Let your friend know about it. Let your classmates know that there is hope, right? And Nigeria is a beautiful place if we put our foot down and do what we need to do. All right, so thank you, everyone. And now we're going to hear from our vision custodian, our amazing vision custodian, our pathfinder, Madam Valentina Ofiepri Uchebo. All right, where's the excitement for our vision custodian? I need to see more of it, please. Welcome, Madam. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Zoe. Okay, there's this saying, I don't know, for those that are members, are part of our exclusive community, I always tell them that they need to shatter that narrative about Gen Zs, because I feel it's something that you just adapt, just being nonchalant and just being cool. Everything is a vibe. If we really want to take the forefront, we have to be proactive, we have to be serious, we need to step out. I'm glad that some of your colleagues here have also said something about, taking those what was the conversations to your fellow youth and your friends and all that, not just waiting for social media. But I would say I've enjoyed the conversation that has gone on today. This is the first time we are exploring this style of conversation, and I'm glad we did. And I'm sure you are also glad you did, because what I've seen is that a lot of people are very bold behind, their phones, and they just type things and they're rude. You don't even want to hear the other person out. There's hardly respectful exchange, with chats. But when you're seeing someone's face or hearing the voice, I would apologize. I didn't think I would be able to join because I had something to do. I'm meant to be at the airport now. That's why my video is not even on. But at least you can hear my voice, and I'm going out of my way to be here because my heart is really in this. So it's very important to have conversations like this, where you're hearing each other's voice, you're feeling your emotions, and you're having respectful communication. So in conclusion, or rather to summarize everything that has gone on this evening, I just want all of us to understand that every leader was once a citizen. Some of you are here having this fantastic conversation as youth, as citizens. Tomorrow you would find yourself in spaces where you take decisions. You were here today, but tomorrow you're a leader. If you do not prepare yourself today, if you do not have this kind of conversations today to get enlightened, to set your perspectives right, when you get into office, you will just go in there working with a template, with the mindset, our leaders are useless, and you will go in there as a leader and be useless. But today you're having these conversations, your minds have opened up, So even if you are called today from your classroom into the ASO Villa to give an opinion, you would definitely say something meaningful. So if this country is the way it is, it's because people are doing something about it. If it's bad, then it means they are doing something wrong. But if it's good, it means they are doing something right. So I agree with Moses, and I think there was another speaker, or rather two other speakers. I think Miriam and there was another lady, Somto, I think. I agree with you, when you are like, the conversation needs to be brought to the forefront, not minding whether your fellow youth are jumping on it or not. You have to keep doing what needs to be done. This organization did not start like this. It started as a smaller unit. But if you keep doing what is right, it keeps building. Value is not something you get in a day. You keep doing the same thing, which is good. Because there's also a saying, if you keep doing the same wrong thing, that's madness. But in this case, because you are doing the right thing, you will get the right result. Then there was another speaker also, I think it was Miriam as well. I'm not even getting her name right. I think it was Miriam. She said something that organizations that are actively in spaces where support for ideas is being done, But then if you do not get into those spaces and get involved, how will you benefit as an innovator, as somebody with an idea? Amdora Youth Impact is an organization that goes into rooms to get opportunities, but then on the group, everybody is just quiet, An event is being like, oh, get involved, and people are just, chill, vibing. They will post, some funny comments on the group and then move on. How will you get yourself in those spaces that your bright ideas will be taken seriously? And then presentation matters. If you approach somebody and you just go with an attitude, oh, I have this bright idea, you've not done your homework. You've not, even tried to experiment with it to prove that this would work. Because someone that has money will not just bounce on an idea. They want to see that it will work. So you have to do your homework. And then for you to even prove that that idea will work, you will get no's. You will get the first no, the second no, the third no. And that no that you're getting is what will make you to keep tweaking your idea to get results. Now, let's say the very first car that was invented is the one that got on the road. Do you know how many people would have died? But when he got the first no, the first fail, he went back, he adjusted the second fail. I think he did it over 1,000 times before he eventually got the right one that hit the road. And from that one that hit the road till now, we've seen how it has been reinvented over and over again. So do not be scared of being rejected. Do not be scared of getting a no. It's just an opportunity for you to, do better. Now, about researchers, I think it was Essay, that touched on that. The ideas are here, but then the West, they keep luring people out with resident permits, scholarship, come and do your PhD, and then they take bright ideas from Nigerians. The West was not as developed as it is. Those nice buildings, those nice water systems, those nice electrical systems, they are all born out from researches. Now, why can't we build our own? We would rather build for other people, just to have that name that, oh, I schooled abroad, I lived abroad. The Nigerians that live here to go abroad enjoy their countries, their facilities better than those that live there. Because the ones that live there are working morning till night, toiling for their system. Nigerians fly there, go enjoy themselves, come back, and we keep doing what we need to do here. I'm not saying it's wrong to go there, but when you are going there, because I also schooled abroad and I came back. When you go there, learn from their system, come back and build yours. If you go into any city that you are in, you see foreigners that are here. What are they doing here? Did they come here to play? They didn't come here to play. They came here to work. They are enjoying something. So Nigeria is not all bad. You are the ones that can determine how Nigeria will be. If you're seeing a first world country, it means that Nigeria can be a first world country, but it's our choice. If you leave me, I will go on and on because this work I'm doing is, yes, passion, but I will say this is purpose work. And I like the fire and excitement, from those on the group. It was meant to be 1 hour, but now we've done over an hour and the conversation has been amazing. I know we will definitely find ourselves in Lagos at some point. I was in Trinity University, I think 3 weeks ago or thereabout. There's something we're bringing there, and I know I will see each and every one of you that is here from Trinity and more of you because it's an amazing work that is going on. One enlightened youth is hope enough for this country because once one youth is enlightened, that youth has a friend that is going to enlighten their friend. 2 will chase 10,000, and that's how it will keep going. Nigeria is great. We can't leave it in the hands of those that are just finding themselves in it and just doing what they need to do to get by. We have to be intentional about everything. Nigeria is an amazing country. With every government that has come, we hear, oh, they stole money in trillions of dollars. The next one comes and they still steal trillions of dollars. It should make you understand that, look, there's something here. And one individual cannot eat it alone. It's not possible. All those that have stolen, Either their kids mismanage it or one thing or the other. But if you put good, you will get good. So for all of you that are here, I know you are all potential leaders. And when you get into the spaces that you need to get to, you will do what is right and the change would gradually come. So my prayer for you all here is that your minds are open and every conversation that you have had and the subsequent ones that you will have will continue to align you to places, positions, and situations where your voice will be heard and you will make impacts and your lives will continue to be charted towards greatness. That's my prayer for you and it will come to pass, God helping us. All right, so thank you very much. I want to see your reactions because I believe you were all hearing me. I'm seeing only 1, 2, and these are still the normal, the same old people. Same old people. But it will be well. We'll keep pushing. All right. Thank you all, and over to you, Ms. Zoe.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Amazing, Madam Valentina, our pathfinder, our exceptional leader, our mother. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And a big thank you to Honorable Ambassador Stephen. He's here. Everybody, please appreciate him. Thank you so much, sir, for blessing us with your presence. Thank you so much, sir. You're welcome. We wanted to hear from you, but I think the network took you out. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much,
I don't know if you can say
Mr.
something. If Ambassador, I don't know if you are on. If you
Okay.
can say something for just, please, just encourage us.
Yes, it's on.
Yeah, can you hear me, please? Thank you.
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, my network played some funny games, took me out. But I enjoyed all the conversation. I am super proud of every one of you. It tells us that the future of Nigeria and Africa is really, really bright. I would like to encourage everyone to keep it up. Whatever you do today will reflect in your tomorrow. I remember many years ago when I was in the University of Calabar. That was when I started my business exploit, and one of the applications I developed was adopted by the university. And just the same year I graduated, within 2 weeks, I knew I made over 6 million. That is many years ago, over 6 million in one day. And that was how I started making money. And I was the founder of the Nigerian Youth Summit. That's the youth empowerment program. And we used to tell ourselves someday we'll consult for African Union, consult for the United Nations. We'll do things. Why am I saying this? Dreams are powerful. Don't stop dreaming because you are closer than it than you can ever imagine. Don't ever think that who will hear me, who will listen to me. I can assure you that you may just be that David that will silence the Goliath that has been disgracing a nation. In you lies not just potentials, realities, solutions that can truly change our nations. From the things I had this evening, amongst all of you, the panelists, I was quite impressed about your insights on energy. There's just so much to talk about that, and I believe in some of our episodes coming. I would want to share some thoughts and just participate. I want to appreciate Ambassador Dr. Valentina, the mission head or coordinator. You're such a fantastic woman. Thank you for investing this much into the next generation, or the generation next, or the generation now, as the case may be. Uh, God bless you all. God bless you all. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. We're honored to have you here. Thank you so much, sir. Let's have more reactions. I don't think this is enough. All right, thank you. A big thank you to Mr. Edidion from the Trinity University. Thank you so much, sir, for for setting the tone for us, for the amazing speech. It was beautiful. Thank you. And to all the panelists here, please and give yourself the biggest round of applause. You've been amazing, amazing. A new style of conversation, yet you were able to do it so well. I enjoyed every bit of it. You spoke like 60-year-olds, like not old people well, but experienced. Amazing, amazing. And we know that this is not the end. There's still so much more. We're going to give you more information on the group tomorrow. So I'd like you to stay active, stay with us, because there's still so much to do. And for our amazing audience, for contributing, for wanting to say something and pushing yourself to do so. Amazing job, everyone. Well done, everybody. To our executive team, thank you so much for the job. Well done. Amazing. Thank you, everybody. And do have a wonderful night rest. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
All right, good night, everyone. God bless.
Good night, madam. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.